In this video, I'm going to be explaining the benefits of high ground in Fortnite Chapter 3 versus the benefits of low ground, and by the end of this video, we're going to know which one is ultimately the meta. First major benefit of high ground is the fact that you can hit headshots more frequently and more consistently than if you were on low ground, and the reason for this is because if you look down at somebody, the first thing that you're going to see is the top of their head. So if you have high ground and you're spraying people down below you, or you're shooting your shotgun at people down below you, you have a better chance of hitting high damage headshots. So when it comes to natural high ground, so like good positioning, as well as build fights when you're on high ground, there's a great common crossover that's actually pretty insane and people don't really pick up on it, and that's you're going to have increased vision. If you box up on the top of a mountain, aka high ground, or the top of a building, you're going to have increased vision compared to other players who are on low ground, meaning you can see people rotating in from this direction and people rotating in from this direction, i.e. giving you more information, so therefore you can make better decisions when it comes to making your next rotate. So that's why I always go for high ground when I'm in endgame scenarios, especially when I have a disadvantage in health, or my ammo is low, or my materials are low, and I can't really afford to mess up my rotation. So this next concept only really applies when we're talking about seriously late game scenarios, when it's in a moving zone, and that's the fact that it's easier to slide down a mountain than it is to run up a mountain. So would you rather in an endgame scenario be at the bottom of a mountain, moving zone pulls, and you have to climb up a vertical mountain? It's very, very hard to do that, especially when there's people already on high ground spraying down at you, and on top of that, you are moving with like 20 other people all trying to climb the mountain, blocking each other off, griefing each other's games. It's very, very horrible to be in one of those scenarios, where if you decide to play high ground in the chance that, oh, it might pull up the mountain, maybe it doesn't, you're still taking the W if you don't get pulled, because you're going to end up sliding down the mountain and saving a lot of materials and preserving your health for later on in the game. So when it comes to low ground, you're going to notice it has more of an advantage for build fights. For example, when you're on high ground, in a build fight, you have a chance of falling off and taking a lot more fall damage. So if you're the low ground player in that scenario, it's much easier for you to chop somebody down and edit your builds so that way they detach and they fall to take fall damage, and that makes the fight very effortless for you, and it's being used a lot here in Fortnite Chapter 3. I've never seen it used more ever, and you should definitely take advantage of that. It's so easy. All you have to do is edit your own builds, even just pickaxe their builds and chop them down, especially if one of your teammates in like a team game mode is already fighting with them up in like high ground. You can chop all of them down, just kill everybody and then res your teammate. It's pretty simple. Take their heals and then you have more loot, you have more materials, and it's much quicker, so you're going to avoid third parties. Obviously on low ground you have what I call the box up advantage, and that's the fact that if you're getting sprayed and you're on low ground, you can just completely box up, and I guarantee you 9 times out of 10 your opponents won't have the patience to actually sit and keep spraying you or just leave you alone. What they'll do is they'll drop down on your wall and they'll try and claim your piece control. They'll try and take everything away from you. But if you are a fast editor and if you're very, very reactive, you might be able to actually let them take your wall, and when they edit, you can hit them for a very high damage shot, or you can fully box them and let your teammate do a lot of damage. And even if you're playing solos, you can just do both of those things. You can box them up, take piece control, take a minute, line up a nice shot and hit them for a lot of damage, and that's very, very effective, and you can only really do that when you play low ground and box up. Another great benefit is the fact you have third party advantage. Now this might go over some people's heads, but let's just think about it for a second. If you're in a fight with another team and it's a very high build fight, and all of a sudden you guys see another team rotating in and they're shooting at you from a distance, and you decide, hold on a minute, we need to drop because we're probably going to get chopped down. So you go to low ground, you box up. What happens 9 times out of 10 is the team you were originally fighting are still on high ground, and they're like, bro, why did these drop down? And they start looking for you. All of a sudden that other team rotates in, and when that other team rotates in, the first thing they want to do is establish high ground to get those advantages we talked about earlier, such as increased headshot damage and just more vision when it comes to the fight. So they crank on high ground. All of a sudden they're like, oh, they took height, let's fight them, and they don't even realize till halfway through that they're fighting another team. Meanwhile, you're down low, boxed up, nobody even knows you're there, because more than likely that fresh team that came in will completely eliminate the original team you were fighting, and then that allows you to kind of maybe attack them when they're low, or just slowly rotate away, or maybe even just chill in your box if you've got a great zone position. That's something I see a lot of top tier pro players do. So before I conclude this video and tell you which is better, high ground or low ground, I want to ask that we can hit 30 likes on this video. I think it's doable. You guys let me know by hitting that like button. On top of that, if you're new, make sure you're subscribing. We drop videos like this every single weekday, as well as we're going to be coming back to streaming on the weekends. And my last promo is that if you're a great Fortnite player and you have a few clips that you don't know what to do with, definitely send them into the Google form I have down below in the description, because my boy Watts is making an amazing montage and your clips could be featured in it. Really, it's very simple. All you have to do is submit it, give a name. The link for that's down below. The last tip, super important, listen carefully. So to conclude this video, obviously we talked about the benefits of low ground, we talked about the benefits of high ground, and it's very hard to determine which one is better, and it's all about the circumstances and the playstyle that you play with. If you're an aggressive player, high ground may be the better option for you, because you might have the mechanics to completely outsmart your player, outbuild your player, and end the fight quickly. But when you're looking at what one is better for you, you always want to say, what one ends the fight quicker? What one can you actually use to end the fight quicker? And that's the one you should go with. If you think playing low ground will in return make the fight quicker for you, meaning if you end that fight quicker and then you go on and take another fight and end that quicker, you're going to be eventually able to get to a point where you can get more kills than you usually would, because every team you're fighting, you're killing faster than you previously could, because you now have an optimal strategy that you can apply. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense to you guys, but on screen right now is a video that I recommend you guys to watch, and if you guys want to submit your best clips to me, make sure you click on the Google Drive link down below.